Akeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
People died, some people left the job.
Lawmakers worry over rise in personnel costs in MDAs without a corresponding increase in employment.
You people are sabotaging yourselves.
As budget defense continues, committee expresses concern over the procurement of sporting equipment. You're onto the program House Ticket, your regular education on the workings of the House of Representatives. The Lawmakers' 3 weeks recess continues, giving committees ample time to engage agencies of government in discussions over the budget performance of 2021 and financial plans for the year 2022. Committees harp on fiscal prudence for agencies, discussing national development through innovations to encourage self-sufficiency as a nation. These are amongst other discussions on national concerns by the lawmakers during these interactions. The details in the full program right after this break.
We set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood. We will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
As we start the program, portable water supply to rural areas, dam constructions to help in irrigation and subsistence farming, flood management, amongst other budget expenditures and performance, dominated the discourse when the Minister of Water Resources sat before its oversighting committee on water resources, chaired by lawmaker Sadu Sodi Chibia.
The Kagara Dam and a few of the dams that are uncompleted in Niger State. Secondly, I also want him to shed some light on the final implementation of the flood management of River Niger as it affects those areas of the River Niger that are in Niger State that are largely troubled by the flood.
We had to terminate the contract with Bywater. We now have to reassess the work. And what we're looking for is to get a Nigerian contractor. We inherited a lot of projects, 37 dam projects. So we have to prioritize. There are projects that are 70–80% completed. So we want to finish those ones because they're like low-hanging fruits. And then we can begin to reinvest in some of these projects. So I would like to appeal to the committee. In this budget 2022, we have prioritize about 20 projects. And we feel that we just said, okay, what can we finish between now and 2023? And all these projects that you see we're doing, 95% of these projects or more are projects we inherited. We did not initiate those projects, but we felt that as a government, we have a responsibility to finish them.
I am drawing your attention back to the Amozari Dam. My complaint last time was that the dam was yet to be completed. But you said in your records the dam was completed. So I don't know if the scope of work for the contractor was for the bridge not to be able to take at least one vehicle. Now the bridge that we have is not even able to allow vehicles to commute through that road, and the people are not passing it. And if you deliver a project which does not add value to the community, it would reduce the purpose for which it was designed.
As far as I know, the dam was completed. Is it the same dam that has the water problem, or that needed some rehabilitation? Please answer.
The scope of the project by the federal government does not include the downstream aspects. That is the irrigation component or any water supply component. Also the roads that the dams are being that the bridges we are connected are not also part of the contract.
The MD of Anambra Imo River Basin is here, and I'll direct here and now, if there is provision for irrigation in that particular area, we should begin to mobilize, and let's maybe in the 2023 budget, or if you have some funds for study and design, let us initiate the process of doing a study, and even if it is 50 or 100 hectares of irrigation, let us start something. But water supply will not come in because it is the responsibility of the state government, so maybe engage your state government for them to utilize the dam to provide water for the people.
Constituency and zonal intervention projects were discussed during the interactions as the ministry worried over abandoned projects in that regard.
We have cases of projects that were started by a member, and then an election comes, then he is no longer there, and the new member that comes is not interested in continuing. He has his allocation for zonal intervention project, and he takes it elsewhere, and this project is left unfinished. I think as a body, the National Assembly needs to look at this problem, because we have so many abandoned projects like that.
The minister had assured that some of these projects will be completed by 2023. More concerns were voiced before the minister on the yearly increasing personnel costs without a rise in the employment ratio by government agencies. According to the chairman, the legislature as a whole is finding it difficult to adjust the cost of personnel line item in the overall budget from the executive.
In 2021, the personnel cost of the ministry, if I can vividly remember, was 1.9 billion. And then this year's estimate, and I'm sure there was no recruitment, some people died, some people left the job, there was no salary increase. And this year, the executive presented an estimate for the ministry for personnel around 2 billion. But what I will advise you, find out what is happening. Because the personnel cost of the federal government, the entire budget, is increasing by every year. And then there is freezing on employment. No ministry, no agency of government that is employing, they are only replacing those that are even replacing. Please, the ministry should check and find out if there is no build-up of ghost workers, not from the ministry, from the Department of IPPS.
My own thought is that there are promotions, maybe also these annual increments and so on and so forth. But I will also tell you that this very question was raised even at Federal Executive Council when we were deliberating on the budget. And I recall that Mr. President directed that an audit be conducted in some of the government agencies to try to find out, to ensure that some illegal appointments and recruitments are not being made.
The lack of interagency collaboration in the campaign against open defecation was also worrisome for the lawmakers. Meanwhile, the 2022 budget proposal for the ministry and its agencies comes up to about 151.658 billion naira. Of this amount, personnel cost has been earmarked at 9 billion naira, where 2 billion naira goes to the ministry and 7.2 billion naira to its agencies. Overhead costs 278.66 million naira for the ministry and 1.909 million naira for agencies. Proposal for capital costs stands at 78.8 billion naira for the ministry and 62.1 billion naira for the agencies. The committee, in adopting the budget, had agreed with the ministry's 6 focal points, where it aims at completion of ongoing projects with the 2022 budget rather than initiating new ones or abandoning the projects.
The 2022 budget proposal by the Minister of Water Resources is hereby admitted for consideration by the Committee on Water Resources.
Still on budget defense, we'll go over to the Committee on Healthcare Services, where there were discussions on public health vis-a-vis the absence of innovations to curtail the COVID-19 pandemic by the Medical Laboratory Science of Nigeria. In under engagement of lawmakers, the National Institute for Sports was before the Olumide Oshoba-led Committee on Sports for discussions over sports development in Nigeria. Stay tuned for the details in our next report as compiled and presented from the studios.
During the interactions between the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria and the Healthcare Services Committee, the Council's budget performance for 2021 capital project as at 30th of September was 61%, which has been judiciously used to procure a 250 kVA power generating set for the headquarters and the PCR machine for its molecular laboratory in its Lagos office. Releases of funds for personnel cost has performed at 73% and overheads at 67%. In reacting to the submissions made, lawmakers demanded for proof of remittances made to government coffers as the agency said it has remitted 25% of its IGR.
Your revenue from January to September is 142 million. And of that, you said you've only remitted 25%. I would like you to provide a document that tells you that you're only to remit 25% to the CRF account, because that is not the threshold that I'm aware of that you should be remitting to the revenue account.
Committee members also worried over misplaced priorities captured in the institution's proposal for 2022 budget amongst other issues.
You know, your agency is a key to Nigerian economy. And in this year budget, based on the pandemic we are into, we do not see in this budget where most of the things in your regulatory in lab is being captured to make sure we have very good results in most of this endemic system we are in Nigeria.
For public health, it's capital intensive for us to go through. But since 2020, the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria have tried to see how much we can go about seeing that the kits, mostly for the COVID that we started with, are validated in country. And we are looking at, by 2022, that we are going to put up an advert that for the malaria, the hepatitis, the syphilis kits, which is so common, or the wider kits that is so common in Nigeria, needs to also be validated, so that Nigeria should also have the benefit, which they've gotten from our validation of COVID. That is what we have for 2022, sir.
Procurement of motor vehicles and all sorts, that represents about 70% of your capital for 2022. I'm worried if you are presenting a capital project and you are using 70% of that capital to buy cars.
In our establishment today, all our vehicles cannot really do what we are supposed to do. Like I speak today, we have teams doing inspection in Ogun State. We have to rent vehicle. We are having 4 teams working currently in Abuja this week. We are renting vehicles. And none of the vehicles that we have now is less than 15 years old.
If you go through the capital, almost all your projects here are new projects. Am I correct?
2021?
Yes. Yeah? Almost all your projects are new projects there. Correct?
Yes. Now, what I want to find out is this. If you go to your page 15,
where you have your proposed 2022 budget, everything here is ongoing. I'm trying to correlate between the price, the cost in there, the appropriated amount. I'm trying to see where this procurement and installation of, was it set of mechanized archives, where is it in 2021?
You are submitting your budget plan to us. It has to be the reality. That one is not the reality because it's not going on. So you can't call it what it's not.
Not yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You alter that to be new.
Okay.
And not ongoing.
In another committee room, the Committee on Sports engaged the National Institute of Sports in discussing sports development, among other pertinent matters. The occasion was a pre-budget assessment meeting, which is a follow-up of a recent oversight visit to the Institute in Lagos. The committee is therefore investigating contracts and procurement processes awarded in December 2019 and a recent one in July 2021. Committee members had passionately expressed their disappointment on the lack of value for money in the procurement of sporting equipment. In one instance, 26 items were requested for, but only 7 were delivered. These, among other challenges, were noted.
The contractor is Cozy and Associates. They said that the price of the items are on the high side. The money they bidded for cannot afford. So on that note, we had to prioritize the items.
Who gave you permission to do that? Who gave you permission to do that?
It was not my personal decision. It was at the procurement planning committee level.
Director of procurement, you are in charge of procurement, and you are telling us that those things that were procured there, you are satisfied with them. It's a shame. If we are talking about the same NIS that we all saw, then if that is your level of, or the standard that you believe our athletes should operate in and under, then with you we have no future in sports.
We have issues with those procurements and supplies in terms of standard, in terms of quantity. We have issues with them. If we were not there and you are telling us this, we say, okay. Two things is either our eyes are not seeing clearly or we are blind. Probably we have to look into this man and really know if he's qualified to be a director of procurement.
Lawmakers demanded further explanation from the management staff, including the acting director general, as at the time of the procurement.
You have the floor to explain, as the acting DG then, whether you verified or you checked all the things that were done. Thank you.
Some items on the PQ were stepped down as a result of non-availability of fund. A lot of meetings were held during the process of advertisement, procurement, and others. And the tender board sat severally to ensure that every due process was followed during that process. And we also monitored the execution of the projects when they were on.
I'm not going to stress you to bring evidence of advertisement to Abuja. Okay. I will come to the stadium on Saturday. Every form, shape, means, mode of advertisement, we want to see it. I'll come and collect it and I'll tender it to the chairman.
Why is it that when you get the first tranche in the first quarter, get the second tranche in the second quarter, and most likely get the third tranche in the third quarter of the year, you do not start procurement process, bidding process, award process until the fourth quarter? What is your explanation on that?
We don't have anything to justify that, sir. We do humility. We're just learning. Our thinking initially was that when we have the money.
As far as I'm concerned, you people are sabotaging yourselves. The reason why the prices went up is because you got the first tranche, the second tranche, the third tranche, and you neglected to do the process.
Committee had the following directives to the new Director General, who has the institute now.
We're going to give the DG the opportunity to, in the next 1 week, do a detailed report on those procurements that we're concerned about, so that you can submit it to the committee. You, as the head of the place, you would help us do a detailed investigation of what happened and send the report to the committee. You are meant to come in a week to do your budget performance. NIs cannot come and do budget performance with what the committee saw.
Meanwhile, the lawmakers are considering blacklisting the companies involved in the contracts owing to lack of cooperation to discuss the matter.
You're still onto the program House Ticket, where you get educated on the legislative duties of the House of Representatives in Nigeria. This segment brings you a continuation of the oversight visit by the Science and Technology Committee of the House. As part of its tour, it visited the Sheda Science and Technology Complex situated in the nation's capital, Abuja. The about 20-year-old institute functions as the Center for the National Coordination for All Advanced Academic Research in Sciences. Inadequate staff strength was a major issue raised before the lawmakers amidst efforts to recruit 500 staff recently. Nonetheless, questions were asked on utilization of funds on overheads, personnel costs, procurement process for award of contracts, amongst other budget expenditures. This is even as the committee frowned at the lack of signature to authenticate its 2021 budget performance document it presented to the lawmakers.
In terms of grant collaborations, what are you collaborating on and how much are they putting in? Are they putting in technical support? Are they donating vehicles, cars, computers, laboratory equipment? Or is it just workshops? Let us know the specifics of the grant collaboration so that we know what is coming in, because I believe in partnerships, and partnerships are the secret for not just helping you with make up for your deficiency in funding, but also in giving you better outcome for research.
For 2020, you have 629 million for your personnel, which you have used 627, leaving the balance of 2 million in Jimmy's form. But I was surprised to see in the preceding year, which is 2021, your budget has now increased to 830, which almost 200 million increase. Can you share more light of what you are going to do with this extra 200 million for this agency? In 2020, the country is almost locked down for almost 8 months. But I was wondering how you use international call to spend almost 15 million plus in your overheads.
On the personnel that we had an increase of about 200 million above what we had last year. The essence is that this is for the employment I mentioned here that we intend to employ, which I now ask that if people can help us get the waiver, because that is the major thing. On international fund for last year, when there was COVID, what happened was that, like I said here, that we are not owing people. There are people that traveled some years back, but we are not paid. And we had that opportunity, so we used that fund to pay them.
Yes, sometimes you have limited funds. That was not your problem. But what we have expected, based on your collaborations with other institutions, to have, okay, tell us categorically, in some areas, we'll be able to discover this. We are at the verge of discovering new things.
Some of the projects, like you put here, reflected that you had 100% release in 2020, and exactly the same projects are repeated in 2021. Is it duplication? Were they in phases? I don't seem to understand.
An inspection of the agency's manufacturing plants took place. Rice processing machines as well as sanitizer production machines were introduced to the lawmakers.
Electromechanical, those are the...
As the lawmakers departed the agency, they commended the completion of its permanent office building while advocating for more priority to be given to the science and technology sector through adequate funding of such agencies so that they can realize their full potentials.
All the growth of our industries are supposed to start from research here and then link with the industries and the commercial sector we have. We've seen rice machines being produced here. We've seen hand sanitizer machines, but we want to see generators produced in Nigeria. Nigeria should not be importing generators for our homes. Since we have a problem in power supply, SHESCO should do the research.
This is the much we can take on this package of House tickets. We shall continue with the budget defense exercise by committees of the House in our next package. You can catch up on the program on our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also seize this opportunity to share your experiences with us on some of the benefits in your communities through the various constituency outreach programs facilitated by your representatives in the House. We expect your feedback in form of comments, videos and questions. Until then, stay safe and thanks for your time. Bye-bye.